Yo, what's poppin'? So I'm here with the APEC review of the 6th or the 3rd of June, right? It's June. Oh, it's the 4th of June. It says 3, but it's supposed to be 4. My bad. Anyway, we had 2 games, 1 elimination game, first one up, and we actually had 2 3-0s, which maybe is not what you expect from APEC at all. So first map, 3rd seed Seoul Dynasty, 4-2 with +6 against the 1st seed Hangzhou Spark, 5-1 with +8, and Seoul just 3-0 them. They simply don't care. Uh, it pretty much wasn't even close, honestly, except for the first map. And I was still a 2-0 for Seoul. So Ilios, 2-0 for Seoul. Playing Profit, Fitz, Smurf, Creative, Vindame, Spark playing Shy, Alpha E, Bernard, Irony, and Super Rich. Well is 100 to 99 for Seoul. It did look good for Spark at the start here, but it just wasn't. They couldn't pull through. Soul playing Tracer, Soldier, Winston, Ana Lucio, Spark playing Ash, Echo, Zarya, Ana Mercy. Alpha Yi had a really strong map. This particular one, this round, he had a strong round, and I thought, oh, he's here, so he's taken some time to like maybe get into the game. The last two matches he played against Philly, he's right here right away. So I'm like, oh, this is looking good for Spark, but it just wasn't true. Fitz was diffing Shy. Shy really did not have a good map. Did not have a good series, really. It was just not here. Bernard just not getting that much value. They were just going over him. And Prophet had a really good map. It was just straight up Soul guys had good maps. Spark guys did not have as great as a map. And Alpha E played really well on well, but it wasn't enough. Uh, so yeah, not I don't want to say there's not too much to say because it was a close map. It was a close round, but uh, it really did feel like Seoul was in the control most of this time. They were playing. It's just maybe the nature of the comp. They were playing more aggressively, and the defense, whenever they had the point, felt better. And, and Spark were just winning off of Alpha E going big, or off of like graph wins or stuff like that, right? So what do you expect from their comp, I guess, but you need a little more than that. Moving over to Lighthouse, 100 to 67 for Soul. Alpha E goes on the Tracer after a fight off Genji. Not a lot of Genji from him at all this series, and his Tracer is not like I think it's okay, but it's definitely not a top APAC flex DPS Tracer, right? And I'm kind of wondering if Pineapple has a Tracer, right? Even though he's known for the hit scan, maybe you run Pineapple if you want to play Tracer more. If you're planning on running Tracer, maybe I don't know how it works. I haven't seen too much of Pineapple Tracer, but I know he does have one. Like he is playable, and maybe it's better than Alpha E's, and I could see it honestly, despite Alpha E having an incredible season overall so far. Um, but yeah, they're playing the Zarya on the Lighthouse, and you normally see the Diva here if you're playing Bernard, and this is really their weakest map. You're kind of expecting to lose this one, and they just do. Uh, I don't know what else to say. It's kind of a comp diff. I don't like this area that much at this point. It's too hard to contest a soldier. The only thing contesting soldier is Alpha E on Tracer or your own soldier. And your own soldier has to deal with the Winston, so it's not really viable. So you're asking Alpha E to take out Fitz basically all by himself, and that's not a viable strat. So yeah, Bernard just getting ignored. Not really that much value. And Seoul, I just like the comp more, and they're just playing better. And despite the first map being close percentage-wise, I was just kind of off of Alpha E on Echo on that map, maybe. Yeah, just not great for either the Spark DPS, or any Spark as a whole, really. Midtown's a 2-1 victory for Seoul. Playing no changes at all this entire series. Seoul playing on their offense Reaper, Soldiers area on a Lucio. Spark playing Soldier, Torbjorn, Zarya on a break, so maybe the Seoul coaches have scouted that Spark played Torbjorn, and they maybe put this instead of the Winston, so that I can't hit as much value. They do take the first fight of point A, right? They just roll through it, but Alfie still gets 3. So it's not really his fault. I don't think you can blame that on Alfie. He still killed 3 people on Torbjorn yet on a comp that was specifically meant so that Torbjorn wasn't doing that much. So that's kind of on the rest of Spark, I think. Even if the Tor pick isn't as good, and they do stay on it. He does stay on it for another 2 fights before ulting. But that Torbjorn pick, not the problem in A, I don't think, regardless. So Sparks just kind of crumble. I don't really know. Sparks just kind of going. They're just rolling through B. They don't. Well, yeah, they're just rolling through. Spark kind of stabilized one time off of ults, but they lose some grab fights. And Smurf is looking, honestly, Smurf looked better than Bernard on Zarya here, I think. Smurf looked good. He did eventually go on the monkey, I believe. Am I misremembering? Maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, so ended up going to C with 245. And they don't cap out, but it's very hard to cap out. He didn't go for the Winston at all, actually. He had 2 deaths total on the round. Smurf was just playing very well, and any problems that you have with the Smurf's area is just not real anymore. I think he's kind of showed that as we've moved forward. Alpha E does have some good Genji plays at the end, but it's too little, too late, right? You're still on point C. Moving on to Sparks offense, they're playing Tracer, Soldier, Winston on a Lucio for Soul's defense, right? And Spark playing Soldier, Reaper, Zarya on a Lucio, exactly what you... Well, not exactly what you expect. Maybe you think Reaper, but standard. So Spark, on their first attack, they just kind of walk to the point, and Smurf on Winston just jumps onto the back line and cuts all LOS, and Soul kind of take angles around Spark, and they just die. But they do get a tick off it, so you're like, okay, that's cool. It's looking here, oh my gosh. Spark basically have 5 ults now at the end of A, and Shai just kind of kills Prophet, and Alpha E kills Fitz, and then they just cap A without using an ult. And they have 310 going into B. So, not bad. It's like pretty good for not using a single ult on A, but they don't get the steamroll. They get the steamroll in the first fight of B, but there's a bunch of ults both ways, because neither team have used many ults. 9 also used total, the only one not being used being I believe Alpha Yee's Blossom at this point. And Irony dies, and he's the only death. But because Irony dies, it stops Spark from taking the aggressive positioning more into B at the end. And they don't set up their only ult for success. And this is something that I thought Spark was doing really well. My bad, I should not pick up my keys. I thought Spark was doing really well, as they always identify what they need to do to win the fight. But they did not make Alpha Yi, they did not set Alpha Yi up for success on this boss. He just TPs in and tries to go for it. And it's just not it. You kind of want to use a flank a little bit. I believe Prophet swaps over to Reaper at this point. Smurf swaps over to Zarya himself. But yeah, just not the play for this team. You have to set up your guy for success if he's the only ult available, and they're not setting it up. I don't know. Alpha E doesn't have to sit back on the high ground with the rest of the team on Reaper, bro. Let him flank up, let him push up a little bit. But a pretty big misplay. And they don't even make it a third. Not really too much. They just fumbled after that. They just couldn't have the momentum. But they had to win that fight to have any chance in that map, and it just didn't happen. So, yeah, I don't know. Not great for the Spark on this map at all. I thought Prophet's Reaper, whenever he did swap to it, had better flanks, and they were making better use of it. Alpha E Reaper more for taking space, I guess, but the space, they're not doing anything with the space, and Prophet was just killing them. So, killing greater than taking space. And Smurf had a better Zarya, yeah, I already said that, but Smurf Zarya was really impressive, I thought. Yeah, not inspirational from what I thought one of Spark's strengths were. Moving on to Dorado's a 2-0 for Soul. This was awful for Spark. This was even worse. Much worse. Soul on their offense, they're playing Tracer, Soldier, Winston on a break. Spark playing Soldier, Tracer, Diva on a break. They go to Dorado. They select Dorado, and they don't bring in Gushui. I understand that Gushui has not had that much success, but you can't play Bernard on these kind of maps where you need the monkey comp. That's kind of the problem with payload in this map pool, is that your only option if you don't want to run monkey on the payload map is like I don't know, Circuit Royale. So I don't know why you don't bring him to Circuit Royale. You should have a decent team for that. But it's just not a good look. Spark plays like almost no fights on the defense. They take like a fight, a point, and they do eventually stop Soul right at the very end of C. But not taking any fights at all and just constantly just getting pushed back and making and like only committing whenever your DPS pop off is not viable. Bernard is basically AFK waiting for Fitz or Alpha E to just find a magical pick. And he's not even on a like it's not like Alpha E and Fit and Shy benefit from the D.Va. Like they're playing Soldier Tracer, bro. They're not benefiting from the D.Va here. It's not like they're on an Echo or a Pharah or anything that you want to like you can really pocket. It's I think it was just, and I don't think he's even scrimmed this, to be honest. I think they just didn't want to play Gushue. They just said Gushue you can't win, and I understand to an extent, but when you are down by 2, clearly what you're doing is not working. Just switch it up. I'm critical of when they put in Gushue, but it has to be at a time like this. What's the worst that could happen? You lose the map. Like I don't think Gushue could have looked any worse than what they're doing now. Soul was just pushing for free on all the points. It was really quite disheartening. And the whole strategy of the entire map was just not great. And on the Spark offense, this is Soul. It's supposed to be Spark. Not bad. But it was just worse. They're still on D.Va. The D.Va's not getting anything. You can't dive deep with it. There's no picks coming out. They're not even trying a Widow or anything. And there's just really not a lot going on. Soul are just better. And this comp is just not good. It's just not the pick. I'm a D.Va enjoyer, but not here. It just doesn't work, man. Soul do look good, right? This is not just Spark being bad. Like, Soul are forcing mistakes and forcing this. But not this map. This map, they force Soul, they force Spark into being bad just based on the mental. So overall for this map, Soul outplayed them throughout every role throughout the board, even in coaching, knowing which the comps are going to play, knowing not to care about the Torbjorn. And the fact that Spark lost that much face in Gushue in the Winston comp it's good because it means they recognize that they're not good at it, which they need to be moving forward. But to not even play him on Dorado when you're down by 2 and it was not looking good, I'm not sure. It just that says a lot about how much faith you have in Gushue, and that cannot be good for Gushue. He knows that they have zero faith in him, and that could really hurt his mental and his performance throughout the season, I think, actually. That's the huge thing. Alpha E playing so much Tracer as well, and I'm not sure. His strong suit is his Echo and his Genji, so I'm not sure why you're forcing him out to play the Tracer. He played more Tracer than both of them, and the only map they looked competent on was the one where they played Echo, and where he was hard carrying on Echo. If you're gonna play Tracer, maybe just put in Pineapple. I don't know. Maybe Alpha E has a better Tracer, but it's worth a shot. Why not try Pineapple here? If you're gonna go D.Va for no reason, if you're gonna play D.Va, just commit to the D.Va. We've seen Alpha E has a sick Pharah. Maybe even try Pharah here if you have to. I don't know. I really don't know. This team is not inspirational, and Soul look good. I don't think they look great. I don't think it was unwinnable for Spark, but with how they were playing, it was. Prophet did have a very good match. Fitz had a very good match. Maybe I'm taking too much away from Soul there, but they did play very well, and I could for sure see Soul making the lower bracket run and winning in grand finals. Time of the player of the match going to Fitz. I thought he had a great performance. I thought he was the reason that Spark couldn't even take a point on Ilios, and he was really diffing Shy a lot. Shy did not have a good series, and Fitz was maybe a big part of that in the duels. Prophet could have went to Prophet just as easily. I thought Prophet was in playoff Prophet form, but I thought Fitz just stopping the only time Spark looked competitive is enough to make him the player of the match for me. Moving over to, hold on, let me type in whatever. Moving over to Philly and Shanghai, the 4th seed Philly Fusion, 33 with the +2. They're the only team to beat Shanghai in the regular season 3-0, the only team to beat them at all. Against the second seed Shanghai Dragons 5-1 with a +4 map differential. It says 3-2 Shanghai right here. That's just a blatant lie. This was a 3-0 for Philly. It wasn't even close. 2 3-0s from APAC. You don't expect this. This is why the kickoff clash is so good. This is why tournaments are so good. You get results you are not anticipating, and they matter. They actually have real implications. It's sick. So these young towers, a 2-1 for Philly. Philly come out with Carpe-HZS, Belosuria, Fixa, Aim God, Shanghai playing Lip, Who Are You, Fate, Lijigan, Izayaki. Gardens is 100 over Shanghai. They look very strong in the first round, actually. Philly playing Soldier, Tracer, Winston, Lucio, Ana, and Shanghai playing Soldier, Mei, Ryan, Lucio, Bab. But Philly see the comp and immediately switched to Farah Ball Mercy with the Soldier still. So Carpe still on Soldier. And Shanghai gets his first cap, of course. But Belisura just is not... The ball is not working in this composition. He just still gets slowed. Mei doesn't freeze him anymore, but he slows him down in the wall, and it's just not... And because there's no Zarya or no Diva for the ball to really live, the freeze actually does a lot, and he takes so much damage. Carpe on Soldier looks pretty bad into this as well. It's not really getting anything. Zest looks good, but if it's Farah into a Rhine comp, so of course it does. And Shanghai win the round, and Philly had like 2 eliminations total, and both were from Zest. So a dominant round for Shanghai, but that's where it stops. Control Center comes out. Philly roll out on Reaper, Genji, Doom, Lucio, Ana. Shanghai plays Soldier, Mei, Ryan, Lucio, Bap. And this Doom comp just kind of rolls over the Ryan comp, to be honest. And this math kind of solidifies to me that this is the answer to Ryan. This is what Dallas needed to do into Glad's better. And they did do it eventually, right? Not really. But this is the answer to Doom. And Houston kind of showed that against London in NA, right? But this is like this just made it solid to me, or at least it is the base counter. Like maybe there's some ways around it, but whatever. The Doomfist really disrupts the Ryan comp. It splits up the entire composition with his slams, with his punches, and they just kind of dismantle it from there. Zest on Genji was just running rampant through this team. Carpe also was on Reaper, and the Doom comp just splits them up. The Genji kills whatever gets split. The Reaper does things. And they don't even really care about the ammo that dies so fast because of Reaper. Genji can do damage to it. Doom even does damage to it. It was just a very good round. It was not even close. I wouldn't even say it was close. Philly were just better. We've moved to Night Market. 100-67 for Philly. They roll it on Soldier, Tracer, Winston, Lucio, Ana, and Shanghai say, we're doing Ryan again. And as soon as they see the round, they just swap over to Reaper Doom. Give Shanghai the first cap. But Zest doesn't even... He's just doing it again. It's the same story. It's the exact same story. And the only difference this time is that Shanghai swap off. They swap to Tracer, Zarya, and Ana. And Belisura swaps over to Winston because like I'm not playing Doom into that. And they do win off that. They have more percentage. They still had ult rotation. And it's really rough whenever you switch your entire comp like Shanghai did on a Koth map where you are behind. But that's probably why they end up getting the 60 to 67. They got like half of it from that composition. So yeah, so overall, Philly on this map, they just knew how to beat the Rhine comp. And I don't know where they learned this. Are they scrimming London on 5 million ping? But whatever it is, they had the answer. And it wasn't even close. It's just the answer to the Rhine comp. Zest was crazy on the Genji. Maybe if your Genji's not good enough, it doesn't work or something. But good lord, the Doomfist looked clean, and the Genji play looked even cleaner. Shanghai was looking all right though. Right at this point, what was about to happen was not obvious. Eichenwald 3-2 victory for Philly. MN3 comes over Carpe, just standard. Shanghai's offense, they're playing Soldier, Genji, Winston, Lucio, Ana, and so is Philly. This is what they like to play. Both these teams enjoyed this comp a lot. So Lip sees what they're on and he's on Soldier, and he immediately swaps over to Reaper. I don't know what he sees that makes him swap Reaper. Soldier is still like the standard pick here, but whatever it was, he's like, I have to go Reaper. And Shanghai kind of struggle on this defense. Largely, Fate not having a great map. Uh, he's not taking that much space, and he's also just jumping in and dying sometimes. And they basically only cap off of Izayaki hitting a fat nade. That's the only thing. Izayaki hits a fat like 3-man nade. Shanghai jump onto it, and they cap like with like 10 seconds left or something, probably, or 40. I don't know. It's below a minute. It was really bad because Shanghai used 4 ults in the fight before, but they still won the next one just off the bat. Big ante. Committing 4 ults and losing with a minute left is normally just a death sentence, but Izayaki finds a way. On B, the first fight, Philly and Shanghai trade the backlines, but Shanghai's just getting way more, so they kind of push on. But they don't take the high ground control, which I found very odd. I feel like they probably killed enough that they could have pushed up to the high ground. Maybe they're scared because they don't have their backline or something, but just giving it away for free and not even making Philly fight for it, not sure about that. It doesn't really matter, though, because they win the next fight anyway, so whatever. But, yeah, so they get really close to losing on B entirely. But they clutch out on their final overtime fight. Who Are You forces a beat. And the next fight he comes in, he gets the touch, and they're pushing into a visor, but Nano Lip is what really seals the deal. He gets 3 with a Blossom, and they go into C with 130. So Lip basically carrying them into C, but it just doesn't do anything. They get stopped on the first corner. They just used all their ults. Fate kind of ends a little bit, and it's not a great offense. They only make it through. They misuse all their ults on A, get through only by an anti-nade, and then they only get by through a Nano Blossom, and then they lose. So not sustainable success here, but it could have been worse, right? It could have been a Spark. It could have been Spark on Dorado. Philly's offense, both teams still playing the same compositions. Ria is doing this thing where he's jumping aggressively onto the corner of the tower, the main tower in the middle of the point. And he gets a lot of space for it. Fate does the same thing, except he jumps onto the bridge, but he just rolls over and dies. Fate does this a lot. He rolls over and dies. He comes back, right? He dies immediately, comes back and dies immediately. But Who Are You? Like, bails him out. Basically, and gets a lot of kills. Not really from the space he's making, I don't think. Maybe you can argue he's getting nade out, but Fate just jumping in and dying twice in a row is maybe not exactly how you want to play it. But Shanghai looked pretty good on this first defense, to be honest. They look this first point. Belisria is jumping for space. Lip just nano visors right past him. He doesn't care. And Shanghai are staggering kills for a pretty long time against Philly. They are making the reset take a long time, and it's looking pretty good for a hold here. Who Are You? Goes down to Zest. And Belisria jumps in with 40... and then, wait, I'm reading too far. My bad. Hold on. Belisria goes down, and MN3 with a nano visor takes out a lot. And then Shanghai try to take the fight back with a Who Are You blade, but he's at half HP and he just dies. So maybe a trying to clutch moment from Shanghai and it doesn't work out happens, but definitely not great. I don't know your success rate of killing 5 with a blade at half HP. I don't know about that risk to reward. But Philly entered second with 310. So Shanghai on this defense, they don't look great. They hold for a little bit on B, like at the start, but they eventually let Philly walk. And Philly only have, like, I don't even know how to explain this. This is so bad. So Philly's moving the cart, right? They're about to enter the castle, and Fate jumps onto the bridge high ground. And he has 60 HP, and he jumps out of his bubble with Primal. Maybe he needs to jump and Primal at the same time, but he just doesn't do it, and he dies. This stops Shanghai from getting any real, committing a good recontest. But it doesn't matter because Who Are You comes out and he blades, but he gets really low, so he dives into the bottom castle, and Lucian uses beat, but it doesn't hit him because he's leaving. And then Lip is hitting a flank visor onto the high ground castle behind them. There's no one on point for Shanghai, and they just give it. Because they jumped out of his bubble at 60 HP and didn't use Primal. So the Shanghai used 3 ults, lose, and Philly don't even have to use that much. It was probably the worst fight ever. Maybe it could be another, in a different world, someone's on point and they clutch up. Maybe, but they don't even win the fight after that. And Fate not using Primal there, or Fate even being there, he had no business being there. It's just nothing. He's not taking space. He's just in LOS, and his team's not even there. It's just boggling that he's there, and I'm not sure why. Philly managed to cap out, right? Fate is slept in Primal, and Philly have more ults, and it just was horrible, and it was the worst fight maybe ever. But it was an overall close match because Philly barely cap out. They have like a minute or so left, maybe. So I would still call it a close match, but there was some massive trolling. Fate was looking rough. Him doing that it just doesn't make sense. What is that? And he's just jumping in and dying so often. Bellasaria looked good. But Fate? Not the one. He's not the one. I think he's been doing this whole season. I think he's been his monkey play has maybe been the primary reason that Shanghai's looked a little rough, personally. But it's been working, so it's hard to criticize. Until now, this was horrible. The worst fight maybe ever played by the Shanghai Dragons. Both teams not doing too great. Philly less worse, you know what I mean? Watchpoint Gibraltar, 2-1 victory for Philly. This was maybe worse for Shanghai actually. No swaps rather. Shanghai playing Widow, Genji, Winston, Brigana, and so was Philly on the defense. And it's not a lot going on, you know. Widow v Widow is very slow. They're just waiting for picks. And Shanghai get the card up the hills, whatever. Zest Nanoblade is slept. But Philly, despite getting nanoblading and primaling, they do stabilize at the very end of it, basically. Probably because Fate dives too deep into the Philly spawn and dies. So then, as soon as Bellasaria is there, they just win because they have a tank and they don't. Lip swaps a Tracer at this point as well and gives up on the Widow duel. Maybe worse than it should be. I don't know. I don't know if you want to substitute your Widow for a Tracer, but he does. And Shanghai eventually do advance into B with 3 minutes. Mostly off of Bellasaria getting slept and dying. But it's looking good for Shanghai because they get the shuttle control and they look to avoid the whole hell that B for 10 years thing. But because they don't have a hit scan to be at the top of the shuttle, it's not as impactful as it could be. You have shuttle control only to deny their space. You're not really utilizing it as yourself, the Tracer Genji. Fate gets antied and he gets punished. And he's primaling, but he doesn't get anything and then he dies after it ends. So Fate once again being caught out early and making a huge error and being a massive reason Shanghai lose here. So Shanghai are forced to reset, and MN3 uses walls, and Philly collapsed on Shanghai and only win a fight off with just walls. It was crazy. It was like they had they triangulated the positions and they just collapsed on them like an earthquake. I don't even know. That doesn't make sense, but it was a very good fight, and the information they utilized their information so well. And then the next fight is just SS Nanoblade, and Shanghai don't even trigger the overtime. And they're a hold at the end of B, not really at the very end. And Philly's offense, it's just a roll, kind of. I guess that's not maybe fair. Both teams running Widow Genji again. Look back on it. Lip gets to pick an MN3, so he's finally here. Lip probably outperformed MN3 on this first part of the offense. But they C9, basically. Philly don't even use alts. Bellasaria dives onto the cart, and he just kind of pushes it. Like, he's getting contested, but I don't know. I don't think Fate died. He's just not on it. Who Are You is diving MN3 in the server, so it's not even like there's Widow pressure. And Shanghai just C9 that, and Philly just used walls to get through A again. But it's not really off the walls this time. It's just off of Shanghai being a troll. And then, of course, because they didn't use any ults to get through A, Philly just win, right? They just kind of roll. And there's just nothing from Shanghai. Philly's just winning fights without needing ults. And it was probably the worst Shanghai match since it was worse than anything last season, worse than anything this season. I don't know how far back I want to go, but it was bad. It looked really bad. It was like Shanghai like throughout the regular season, but they never clutched up, and it's bad. Not that they didn't try. I think I think Philly just stopped them from clutching up at all. And Shanghai only looked good when Philly's playing ball into Rhine. And there's just not much to say. Shanghai fumbling this bag, and their ult usage was horrible. And they're not there. I don't want to blame it all on Fate, but I don't think anyone else on the team was doing that poorly. Like, yeah, their ults on Eichenwald at the end were really bad, but the alternative was trying to hold them to like a few meters at the start of third, which isn't really good either. So I kind of understand committing ults to that fight, even if you C9 it. And maybe even if the coordination's not there. But I personally think Fate looked really bad, and he's looked pretty bad for this whole season. And Philly kind of punished that and didn't let them clutch up. So and Philly were just better. And whatever it is, they just have Shanghai's number. The only team to beat them, not even dropping a map to them. It was pretty inspirational. Player of the match for me is going to Zest. It doesn't matter what this guy's on. He is just fragging out on everything. He's playing Genji into Rhine, and he's just killing everyone. Could have went to MN3, to be honest, maybe. But nah, I don't think so. Could have went to Bellaseria. Maybe I should, maybe. But Zest just is too talented. And it's going to go to Zest all day. So that's it for me. Give this a like, give this a subscribe. If you want to share this to anyone, if they're asking, hey, what happened in APAC, go ahead, give them the video, and I will break it down for them. What happened in APAC? How did Shanghai get 3-0'd? Boom, link in the video, send the timestamp. Done. Yeah, that's it for me. Deuces, have a good one. Expect a preview for the upcoming matches, and